Dr. Layla wasn't to know that I have been doing exactly that, especially in churches around the world. When I'm asked about the hijab, I ask them in turn, who of them has ever seen a woman wearing hijab before? And of course, all of them raise their hands. Then I ask, who among you has ever wondered why they wear it? And 90% of them raise their hands. Then I show them this picture. Then I ask, do you know who she is? Yes, they answer, Mary, the mother of Jesus Christ. Then I show them this picture and I ask, who is she? They say, Mother Teresa, the Nobel Peace Prize laureate. Then I ask them, may we say that in your eyes these are the best two women? And they say yes. Then I show them a picture of a Muslim woman and I ask them what is common to these three images. They say the hijab. All three are covered except for faces and hands. And I say, excuse me, a minute ago you were asking me why Muslim women dress like that? But some Muslim women do not only cover their hair. There are those who also cover their faces wearing what's known as niqab or sometimes burqa. I met one of them, Na'imah, a British convert of whom the British newspaper The Daily Telegraph wrote, that Muslim woman could be happier than you. She is also the chief editor of Sisters magazine, as well as a prize-winning author of many books, including the popular From My Sister's Lips. She told me that when she was still searching, she went to an evangelical Christian church, attended the ceremony, and then wanted to know more.
I went back to the back where they were taking people who had said that they accept Jesus Christ as their savior. And I said, I want to know how I can know this is the truth. What's the proof? And she said to me, you just have to believe. You just have to believe. And I said, well, I can't do that. I need something more than just blind faith. So I left that, went to university, and my first encounter with Islam that I became aware of was when I came to Egypt. And interestingly enough, it was actually seeing women wearing hijab that made me very, very, very upset. I disapproved of it 100%. Consider myself a feminist, cosmopolitan feminist, and the sight of these women covering themselves, I felt sorry for them. I thought, why do their men make them wear this? What's this all about? And then one day, we went to a festival and there was a lady there. She was wearing a hijab. And she was very, very beautiful, mashallah. She had one of those faces which radiated light. She was a very lovely lady. And I thought, no, I'm going to ask her. I'm not going to assume. I'm going to ask her why she wears that thing on her head. So I said to her, you are so beautiful. Why? Why do you cover yourself? And she smiled at me and she said, because I want to be judged for what I say and what I do, not what I look like. And for me, I'd never, ever heard that idea, ever in my life. And it made me really start thinking about my lifestyle, my ideas, my values. And I thought to myself, when I saw these women, I saw them as weak. But now when she says that to me, when she says that she doesn't need male attention, she doesn't need male approval, I think maybe I'm the one who's weak and she's the one who's strong. And I wonder whether I could be as strong as that. So when I went back to England, I got a copy of the Quran and I started reading it. And I said to myself, I'm going to read the Bible and I'm going to read the Quran because maybe now is the time in my life that I need to make a choice for my spiritual side, which I had been ignoring all this time. I never got around to the Bible in the end. I just read the Quran and it made sense to me. The lifestyle choices made sense to me. It seemed like a very sane and healthy and safe type of life. And I thought if I ever have children, I would want to raise them in a strong belief system and in an environment that fosters the best that is within them. And that was the end of one journey and the start of another journey within the deen, within the religion of Islam.
Personal question. Why did you choose the niqab?
I actually liked the niqab. I liked the idea of privacy. I liked the idea of it not being, my face not being on show for just anybody to see. I remember specifically one incident that made me decide to start covering my face is when I was going home. It was quite late and I was going home from work on the train. And I was standing up because there were no seats available. And some men who were sitting on the chairs were staring at me. And I remember feeling very upset and angry, thinking, why do they think they have the right to just look at me, and in my face? And I said, I don't like this. I want to be able to choose who sees me and sees that part of me and who doesn't. So I started covering with the niqab then, just on and off, not all the time. But the time that I actually took on the niqab as an act of worship, which is how I see it now, not just something that's convenient or something that, helps me achieve certain ends, was when I went to the doctors and I did some tests, and there was a fear that I may be ill. And at that time I was just newly married. It was a very wonderful time, mashallah. And I went to the doctors and I was given the all clear. And I remember walking down the road, it was in East London, and saying to Allah, to God, thank you for everything that you have made my life into right here, right now. How can I praise you more? How can I worship you more? How can I thank you more? The niqab, I don't see it as obligatory, but it's considered by many scholars as something that is recommended. It's rewardable. It's something that you do to gain the pleasure of God. And I thought, this is something that is not hard for me. Why don't I do it? This would be something that I'm doing extra to show my gratitude to God. And that's when I actually started to wear the niqab sort of full time.
According to most scholars of Islam, covering the face is not an obligation. At the time of the Prophet Muhammad, there were women who covered their faces as well as those who did not. There is no record of the Prophet telling any one of them to cover or to uncover her face. That was something totally left up to every woman to decide.
How do we look at these women? Do we consider them strict? Do we consider them different? Absolutely not, because there's a variety of opinion. The minimum that one should cover, or should leave uncovered rather, is the face and the hands. But if one wants to put more cover, like wear several pieces of clothes or extra coats or whatever, or wear a face cover, this is also allowed. Some women are more bashful than others. They are more beautiful than others. They choose to cover their faces because their beauty should just be for themselves and for their husbands. And absolutely, they do have that option. So we should respect all women, whether they are just covered or that they have the face covered.
In some European countries, niqab is now banned. Police arrest women who cover their faces and fine them. Right-wing politicians defend this law by saying that covering the face is against European values. Is it really against European values? I asked myself. The funeral of Emperor Franz Joseph. From 1848 until his death in 1916, the Emperor of Austria, Apostolic King of Hungary, King of Bohemia, King of Croatia, King of Galicia and Lodomeria, and Grand Duke of Krakow, and up to 1866, President of the German Confederation. These women we see in the funeral train of Emperor Franz Joseph are not from Saudi Arabia. They are the princesses of Europe. Women of the royal families and aristocracies of Europe used to cover their faces in funerals and at weddings.